Good morning to everyone. Today we are going to discuss about PC assembly and troubleshooting. PC assembly and troubleshooting. PC stands for personal computer. Basically, this subject only deals with your computers, how it works, what are the various parts like hardware, software, what are the various input output devices, how can we install the softwares, how can we uninstall the software. So all things related to your computer, to your PC, to your laptop, we will discuss in this subject. So name of the subject is PC assembly and troubleshooting. Its subject code is UGCA 1919. So it is of total 100 marks, which is divided into internal is of 40 marks. You know very well, it consists of assignments and MST, and external is of 60 marks. So total marks is 100. Again, I'm repeating, the name of the subject is PC assembly and troubleshooting. Write down it very carefully. PC assembly and troubleshooting. Its subject code is UGCA 1919-1919. Internal is of 40 marks. External is of 60 marks. And total marks or total weightage of the subject is 100 marks. Write it on your notebook. And this subject have 4 units, as you know very well. In our BCA, we have a 4 unit of every subject: unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, and unit 4. In unit 1, we will simply discuss about the computer system overview. In this unit 1 or in module 1, we will study what is computer, basic history of computer, means generations of computer: first generation computer, second generation computer, third generation computer, fourth generation computer, and fifth generation computers. Means we will discuss about the types and taxonomy of computers. And in this, we have also need to study about what is hardware, what is software, what are the various different types of peripheral devices. Peripheral devices means input output devices like keyboard, mouse, printer, scanner. Everything we have to study in the unit 1. And again, in this unit, we have to study processors also, like Intel i1, i2, i3, i4, i5. So unit 1 is basically about the overview of computer system. What is computer system? Its characteristics, its various modules, its operations, software, hardware, peripheral devices. We have to discuss all this in our unit 1. Computer system overview. First is definition of computer. A computer is an electronic device which takes instructions from the user, process it, and execute it accordingly. As we all know that computer is an electronic device, means it works with the electricity. If you have electricity, then you are able to operate with the computer. So it's not a simple device, it's an electronic device which need assistance of electricity, means light. So it's a device that is an electronic device. It take the instructions means input commands from the user, execute commands, that is called process it, and give the result back to the user. If I want to add 2 numbers, what is my instruction? I want to add 2 number A plus B. Now computer will see I want to add, it means computer will go for a addition operator, add 2 number and give the result back to the user. Full form of computer: C stands for common, O stands for operating, M stands for machine, P stands for particularly, U stands for used for, T stands for trade, E stands for education. So full form of computer is common operating machine, particularly used for trade education. Write it on your notebook. Computer stands for Common Operating Machine, particularly used for trade education. It is an electronic device which is very commonly used everywhere. Now it's a digital India. Nothing is possible without the use of computer. We need to use it everywhere in the world. So it's an electronic device that works with the help of electricity, and it is the device that get the information, that get the commands, that get the instructions, that get the input from the user, process it accordingly, and give the result back to the user. So computer is a device that works according to the instructions that is given by the user. Next is basic characteristics about computer. What are the various properties, characteristics, features of computer? First is speed. As we all know that computer is of fast speed device. If I want to do one task manually with a manpower, it will take a more time. But if we will do any task with the help of computer, it will be done in a nanosecond, in a picosecond, or in a minutes only. So see, first is speed. As you know, computer can work very fast. This is very well known to all of us. Computer is very fast. It takes only few seconds for calculations that we take hours to complete. If any task is done by the human being, it will take hours to complete. But if that same task is completed by computer, it will take only few seconds, few minutes. You will be surprised to know that computer can perform millions of instructions and even more per second. So computer is very fast. So it can perform, it can calculate, it can do millions of instructions within a second only. So speed of computer is very fast. That is very well known to everyone. So we always go for a computer when we want to perform a task in a very quick manner. So speed of computer is unbeatable. Computer always be fast. If we compare computer with a human power, human take more time to complete a task, even a days, hours, weeks, but same task should be completed by computer within a seconds only. Second is accuracy. Accuracy means correctness. If one task is committed or done by human being, there is a chances of mistakes, problems, or error. But we always ensure that if some task is done by the computer, it means it should be correct, updated, and accurate. Accuracy, the degree of accuracy of computer is very high. It means correctness of computer is very high, and every calculation is performed with the same accuracy. It does not mean if I write down the C++ code or any code of 10 lines, then it is correct only. You can go for any lines of code, and no matter what should be the length of the code, it always be correct. The accuracy level is determined on the basis of design of computer. The errors in computer are due to human and inaccurate data. If you are giving wrong data to the computer, definitely computer is an electronic machine. Computer cannot do anything by itself. It do everything according to the instructions given by the human being. So if human being is giving the wrong instructions, definitely computer will generate a wrong output or wrong data. Next, third characteristics of computer is diligence. A computer is free from tiredness, lack of concentration, fatigue, etc. It means computer never said I am tired. Now I am not fit or not comfortable to do a work. Human can be tired. As we know that human get tired. If one person is doing the work from since 24 hours, 48 hours, there will be a chance he or she is getting tired, but computer never tired. It always work 24/7 days, so it's free from tiredness. It can work for hours without creating any error. So there is no any limitations. Computer can only work for 12 hours. Computer can only work for 20 hours. Computer can work for unlimited hours without creating any type of error. if millions of calculations are to be performed, a computer will perform every calculation with same accuracy. It means computer is free from tiredness. It always do the work with the same manner, no matter it is working for hours, it is working for a days, it is working for a weeks. Next is versatility. Versatility means the capacity to perform completely different type of work. Computer is not designed for a single application. It is designed for performing the versatile applications. Versatility of operations is done by the computer. We can do the mathematical task over the computer. We can do the programming over the computer. We can write down the mail merge over the computer. We can do the chemistry functions over computer. We can calculate the physics task on the computer. It means computer is not designed for a single application, single task. It can work for any type of application. You may use your computer to prepare payroll slips. Next moment, you may use it for inventory management or to prepare electric bills. It means you can do any task. You can design payroll slips, you can design electric bills, or even you can design a inventory management. It means you can able to do any task over there. Versatility means computer is designed to perform a multiple task which is of different types, structure, nature. Heterogeneous task should be done by the computer. Computer is not designed to do the homogeneous work only. It is designed to do the heterogeneous task. So computer is designed to do the different types of tasks. We can use the computer in the hospitals for a hospital task. Same day or with same processor, with same operating system, we can use the computer in the colleges. We can use the computers in banking. We can use the computer in shops, malls. It means computer can able to do any type of task. Fifth one is power of remembering. It means computer has a very strong memory. Computer has the power of storing any amount of information or data. Any information can be stored and recalled as long you require it for any number of years. Computer does not forget anything. Computer always remember everything. We can access the data later on. If I have stored the data today and I can get same data by using some DBMS commands, by using some accessing methods, after 10 years, after 20 years, after 5 days, after 10 days. So it has a very strong power of remembering. And you know that computer has a two type of memories, volatile and non-volatile, and memory used to store the instructions and data of the computer. Next is no IQ. It means computer is dumb machine and it cannot do any work without the instructions from the computer. As we have already discussed, computer is nothing without the human being. Even a computer is designed by the human also. Computer is designed or assembled by the programmers, by the designers, by the developers. So computer itself is nothing. It's a dumb machine. It cannot do anything by itself. Computer needs some human support, some human power, some expert power to work. Computer always do the work according to the instructions given by the programmer. Seventh is no feeling. As we know that it's an electronic device. It's not a human being. It's simply an electronics device without any feelings, without any emotions. So it has no any feeling, no emotion, no taste, no knowledge, no experience. It's completely a do nothing machine. It start work according to the instructions given by the user or the programmer. That's why it does not get tired. That's why it does not get tired, so that it can work for a long hours. And it does not distinguish between the users. Computer is an electronic device without any feeling, so it does not make any type of difference between any type of user. It treats every user as an equal. It does not discriminate between the user on the basis of caste, creeds, or anything. It treats every user as a normal. Next is storage. The computer has inbuilt memory where it can store a large amount of data. So computer has a memory. Either it can be a RAM, it can be a ROM, it can be a cache memory, main memory, primary memory, secondary memory, registers. Computer have a different types of memory. You can also store data in the secondary storage devices. First, you have a primary memory. Second, we have a option of secondary memory. Like we can also store the data into disk. We can store the data into pen drives. We can store the data into floppies that we can carry easily outside. Next, we have uses or applications of computer. It means where we can use the computers. What are the various working areas where we are able to use the computer, where we are able to get the services of computer? First is education. As we know that now it's a digital education. Now education is completely depend upon computers. Computer is everywhere, in our labs, in our classes. Now we are doing the projects, we are attending the online classes on the computer. It means computer is very, very useful in the education. We can get information from the computer in the educations, like we can attend multiple webinars, FDPs, seminars, expert lectures. Even we can listen the classes related to our subject on the YouTube. It means computer is everywhere in the education. Second is health and medicine. We know that now hospitals are fully automated. We get bill slips online. We can book the appointment online. We can do now every test should be done online. It means now computer is also useful in hospitals, in a health sector or in a medicine sector. Next is science. It means now computer is useful in the science also. We can do different experiments. We can use the computer for checking the compositions of various chemicals. Even we can use the computer for doing any new experiments. Next is business. Computer is also very useful in the business, like we can do the online marketing. We can publish, or we can do the advertisement of our business on the internet, on the Google. So it means computer is also useful in a business. Entertainment means computer is also very useful in entertainment. We can see the movies over there. We can listen the musics, or we can do anything regarding internet over. We can do anything regarding the entertainment over computers. So computer is also useful in a entertainment. Government. Now we have seen the multiple recruitment examinations links is also available online. Like recently we have seen Patwari examination, Punjab police examination, UPSC examination, civil services examination. Any examination link is also available on a computer. It means we can use the computer in the education, we can use the computer in a health and medicine, we can use the computer in a science, we can use a computer in a business, we can use the computer in the entertainment, or we can use the computer in a government also. Next, we have advantages of computers. It means what can we do by using the computers? What are the various benefits of using the computer? First is people are using computers for paying their bills. Now we can pay the bill online, no matter where we are sitting. Now distance issues completely moved. Managing their home budgets, or simply having some break and watching a movie, listening to songs, or playing computer games. It means we can use the computer for paying the bills. We can manage our home budget by using the computer. Even we can watch the movie, we can listen the songs, or we can play any game over the computers. Online services like Skype or social media websites are used for communication and information sharing purposes. So computer is also very useful for a social media like Skype, like Facebook, like WhatsApp, like Instagram. So we can use all these social medias over the computer. Computer is also useful in a educational. It's a very good educational tools. We can get information over the internet, like we can get the information from the Wikipedia. Khan Academy is very famous for a civil services preparation. Code Academy is there. Byte Nodes is one of the academy that provide free resources for the students and professionals. The computer is being used in every field. We can use the computer in the medical, we can get the advantages of the computer in the business also, we can get the benefits of the computer in industry also, we can get the benefit of computer in airlines, weather forecasting. It means now computer is everywhere, it's over the world. We can get its advantages in the home, out home, we can use the social media, we can use it in education, we can use it in medicine, business, industry, weather forecasting. Now nothing is possible without a computer. Now everything is within a computer. So we have the lots of advantages of using computer. As we know that everything have two faces. One is advantages and second is disadvantages. If computer is giving us lots of benefits and advantages, it means it has some drawbacks or disadvantages also. The first disadvantage or weakness or drawback of using computer is it is very common and serious issue, that is unemployment. If one task is done by 10 people, it means 10 people are doing the job, 10 people are working for one task. Now that one task is used by a single computer, it means it will get back the job of 10 people. It means it gives the birth to unemployment. If we need 50 people to commit a task, now that the task that is completed by 50 people, now it is only done by a single person who is operating on a computer, who is working on a computers. So different tasks are performed automatically by using computer. We don't need a different people for different tasks. By using one or by using single computer, we can perform a multiple task. It reduces the need of people and increase unemployment in the society. With the invention of computer or by using the computer, it's give birth to unemployment. Now it reduces the chances of people work. Now most of the task is done by computer, which is done by the human in the earlier years. Next is wastage of money and energy. Many people use computers without positive purpose. They play games, they are doing chats over a long period of time. So it does not mean everyone is using the computer for their purpose. Some are just wasting the time over there, spending long hours on the chat, spending long hours on the Facebook, spending long hours on the Instagram. It's nothing. We are getting nothing from it. We are simply wasting our time. So young generation is now spending more time on the social media like Facebook, like Twitter, or texting their friends all night through smartphones, which is bad for both studies and their health. So it's also have a adverse or bad effects on the social life. Now people are spending late night for doing the chatting, for texting to their friends. It means they are affecting their educational life. They are also affecting their health. So if computer is good, if computer is fine, if it is giving us advantages, it also giving us some disadvantages. So first one, unemployment. After that, we are wasting our time, we are energy, we are watching the movies which is not of our interest, we are texting for a long period of time, we are watching the reels on the Instagram. Simply instead of spending the time with our family, instead of spending the time to read a good books, we are simply wasting our time on the social media. Next is data security, one of the biggest and serious issue, data security. Data stored on the computer can be accessed by unauthorized persons through network. It has created serious problems for the data security. We know the term hackers. They can access the passwords. They can access the username very easily. They can breaches your data. They can get your personal information, and they can even use it for some wrong purposes. So one of the main problem of using computer is data security. Next is computer crimes. People can if we are using the computer for a good purpose, there will be a chances of using the computer for a negative purpose also. They can hack or get your credit card numbers and misuse. Even some people steal or get the information of some big organizations and misuse their information. So there is also chances of computer crimes. Health risk, very important. The improper and prolonged use of computer can result in injuries or disorder of hands, wrist, elbow, eyes, necks, and back. If you are using the computer for a long hours, then you will get some health issues. You can even have a problem of disorder of your hands. You get some redness into your eyes. You get a pain over your neck and back. The user can avoid health risk by using computer in a proper position. They all must also take regular breaks while using the computer for a long period of time. If you are working, if you're doing job, you have to be work on a computer. It's mandatory. Then try to take a break after 15 minutes, after 30 minutes, after 1 hour. So it's also creating a problem for health. This is the block diagram of computer. First, input unit. Input unit is taking the data. Data means instructions, commands from the user. Then it has a storage unit, and storage unit have two types of memory: primary storage, secondary storage. And we have one control unit that is controlling the entire block diagram. We have a arithmetic logic unit that is called ALU, where we can perform the mathematical and logical operations. And central processing block is divided into two categories. One is CU, that is called control unit, that is controlling the operations. And second is ALU, arithmetic and logical units, where we can perform some arithmetical and logical operations. And last is output unit, where we can see or we can get our results. So basically computer block diagram is divided into four parts: input unit, storage unit, central processing unit, and the last is an output unit. Input is responsible for getting the input from the unit. Input unit is for getting the input from a user. Then it has storage unit, where we can store the data, we can store the instructions. We have two types of storage unit. Either we can go for a primary memory or we can go for a secondary memory. Next, we have a central processing unit, CPU, which is divided into two parts: control unit, responsible for the control of operations, and ALU, that is called arithmetic and logical unit, where we can perform arithmetical like addition, subtraction, calculations, and logical like and or not operations. The last, we have a output unit. Output unit is responsible for displaying the output that will be generated by the computer. This is the block diagram of computer. It is divided into four components: input, storage, central processing, and the last is output unit. Simple arrow representing data flow, dotted arrow line representing the control flow. This is the simple arrow lines. It means data flow. This dotted or dashed line is called a control flow. A computer can process data, process pictures, sound, and graphics. So computer can do multiple tasks. It can work on a data, it can work on a pictures, sounds, and graphics. They can solve highly complicated problem quickly and accurately. Computer is capable to do a very complex problems in a very short time or with the correctness. A computer, as shown in the figure, perform basically 5 major computer operations or functions, irrespective of their size and make. What are the 5 functions of the computer? It accepts the data or instructions in the form of input. It stores the data, then it processes the data, then it gives result to in the form of output, then it control all the operations. So first, computer get the input, after it stores the input, after that it process the input, after processing it generate the output or result, and at the end it control all the operations. So these are the 5 operations and functions that should be performed by a computer: get the input, store the input, process the input, give the result or generate the output, and control the operations of the computer system. Now first is, what is input unit? First component or unit of a block diagram of computer input. This is the process of entering the data and programs into the computer system. By using the input unit, we simply need to enter the data. Input unit is very close to the user. By using the input unit, the user can input their instructions, their commands, and their queries. So input unit is responsible for getting the input from the users. You should know that computer is an electronic machine like any other machine, which takes as input, and user take the input from the user, process the input, give the result back to the user. All data and instructions need to be entered into the computer unit through the input unit. So what instructions, what command I want to give to the computer system, it only be entered through the input unit. Input unit accept any type of data and instructions from the outside world. It convert instructions and data into the form so that computer can understand it very easily, and converted data or converted instructions are sent to the computer for further processing. So input unit perform two tasks. First, it get the input from the unit. It convert the input into the form so that computer can understand it. After converting the input, it will send the converted data or input to the computer so that now computer can work on it. Next, we have a storage unit. Storage unit is basically store your data and instructions permanently. We have our RAM, we have our ROM, we have our registers, we have auxiliary memory, we have a cache memory, we have a auxiliary virtual memory. Means we have a multiple types of memory for a storage unit. Storage unit perform the following major operations or functions. All the data instructions are stored before its processing. Instruction after getting the data through the input, it is not directly sent to the computer for the processing. Before processing, it is stored into the storage media. Intermediate result means in between a result, that is not a final result or sent to the user. Before sending the result to the users, it is first stored into the storage media. Next, we have a processing unit. The task of performing the operations like arithmetic operations, logical operation is called processing. The CPU, that is called central processing unit, it takes the data and instructions from the storage unit and makes all the calculations on the data and instructions. After performing the operations on the data, it again sent the data back to the storage media. From storage media, the data is sent to the output device. Functional unit, now it is divided into three types. Arithmetic logic unit, that is only for doing the arithmetic operations. Next, we have a control unit that is responsible for controlling all the operations. And last, we have a central processing unit that is controlling the central level, or that is controlling the processing unit at the central level. Arithmetic logic unit, in this we have to perform all the addition operations, subtraction operations, multiplication operations, division operations, any logic and comparison operations. Next, we have a control unit. Control unit works like a supervisor. It controls the everything, every operation. If any problem occur, it is ready to handle, troubleshoot the problems. So control unit means a unit that is responsible for the controlling of entire task. It works as a supervisor. It is responsible for controlling everything. It is responsible for it is responsible for like attaching any device. If I need any storage media, it is responsible for that. If I need some hardware, some software, some input device, some output device, everything should be given by a control unit. Now next is central processing unit. Central processing unit is divided into two submodules, ALU and CU. ALU, we know that it is responsible for arithmetic, logical unit and comparison. Control unit works control or supervise all the operations that is going over there. Whereas CPU is the module that is combination of two modules, ALU and CU. It is just like a brain that take all the major decisions. It makes all calculations. So everything should be done by central processing unit. CPU is known as the heart and the brain of computer system. Without CPU, computer system is nothing. And the last is output unit. You know, output unit means to show the data to the users, to show the output to the users. Next topic is computer history. In computer history, we have to study about the generations of computer. First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation. Okay. So first is abacus. It's very, very important. Next is, first I just want to show the name of the computers over the history. This is the first generation computer. Abacus, it's now in these days, I think it's a very important or a popular in schools. The abacus is simple counting aid, may have been invented in a Babylonia, now Iraq, in the 4th century BC. This type of computer, it's look like this. It has a upper deck, it has a beads, beam, rods, frame, and lower deck. So this type of computer is abacus. It has upper deck, lower deck. These black is called beads, and this is called beam, and these are called rods, and this outer is called a frame. And this device allow users to make computation using a system of sliding beads arranged on a rack. Basically, this works with the beads only. We have to arrange the beads and rods. So this is one type of computer. Now it's very famous in the schools. Abacus, it's very famous in the school. So it's one type of device. In this, we can perform the computations by using beads that is given over the rods. And this can be considered the first computer. Like this. It is like this. We have these black is called a beads, and these lines is called a rods, and this outer is called a frame. This is the lower deck, upper deck. This is the lower deck. So this type of computer is the first computer that is invented and introduced in our 4th century. This is the example. See it. It looks like this. Next, we have a Napier's bones. It is invented by John Napier in 1614. This is the person who invented this, and this is the computer Napier bones. It looks like this. Allowed the operator to multiply by using the Napier bones. We can do the multiplication, we can do the division, we can calculate the square and cube root by moving the rods around, placing them in a specially constructed board. So this is one that is called Napier. First we have abacus, then we have a Napier bones that is designed or invented by John Napier, and in this we can do the multiplication, we can do the division, we can find out the square root, we can calculate the cube roots. And it also works for our roads. This is the person who invented, and it looks like this. Next, we have a slide rule. And it is invented by William Outard in 1622. Basically, it is the advancement of Napier's idea. And it looks like this slide rule. William Outard is the person who invents slide rule, and it looks like this. Basically, it is used for multiplication, division, for calculating the roots, even a square root or cube root, logarithms, trigonometry. But it is not used for addition or subtraction. So this is designed by this person, and this is the slide rules. And slide rule is not used for add or minus. It only used for multiply, division, finding out the square root, cube root, logarithms, or trigonometry. Next, we have a Blaise Pascal. It looks like this. It is designed in 1642 by a French mathematician and philosopher. Blaise Pascal invented a calculating device that would come to be known as a adding machine. One of the first and earliest mechanical device used for calculating was a Pascaline. So this is called the adding machine that is invented in 1642, and basically it is one of the first or earliest mechanical device that was used for calculations. It looks like this. It is also known as a numerical wheel calculator. Here it looks like a wheels. These circles is looking like a wheels. So that's why this is called a numerical wheel calculator or Pascaline. It perform addition. It's only used for additions, not for multiplication and not for a division. It looks like this. That's why this is called a numerical wheel. It looks like a wheels, and it do only the addition, not multiplication, not division, nothing. Then we have a multiplying machine, Gottfried Leibniz, improved Pascal machine. It looks like this. It is the improved version of Pascal machine. The problems that we face in a Pascal machine overcome over there. As we have seen in the last slide, this machine is only for addition, not for a multiplication. Then we invent a new machine that is called multiplying machine. It is capable of doing the multiplication also. This is the person who invented, and it looks like this. It also invent the calculator is supposed to be able to add. It looks like or works like a calculator. It is possible to add, to subtract, to multiply, to divide, to calculate the square roots. So it's behave like or work like a calculator. Difference engine and analytical engine. We have our two engines. One is, this is the difference engine, and this is called the analytical engines. It is an automatic mechanical calculator designed to tabulate polynomial functions. That is invented by Charles Babbage in 1822 and 1834, and this is one of the first mechanical computer. We have two engines, difference engine and analytical engines. Both are invented by Charles Babbage, which is called the father of the computer, in 1822 and 1834. Charles Babbage was an English mathematician and the professor, which is known the father of modern computers. He invented both devices, difference engine and analytical engines. This is the diagram of difference engine. It looks like this. Difference engine. that is invented by Charles Babbage. This is the diagram of analytical engine. 1833, used to perform a variety of calculations by following set of instructions or programs stored on a punch card. It works according only to the instructions that you have to add over the punch card. The instructions that is given on the punch card, according to these instructions, it starts working. And it looks like this. This is the diagram of analytical engine. First computer programmer. In 1840, Augusta Ada Baron suggests to Babbage that he use the binary system. She writes program for analytical engine. Now this is the first time when we get a binary language, when we get a binary system, like we get 0 or 1 form values. And she's the lady who wrote the programs for analytical engine, and she suggested the Babbage to use the binary system. Census tabulator, that is called tabulating machine, and it is invented by Hermann Hollerith, and it used electricity instead of mechanical gears. Holes representing information to be tabulated were punched in the cards. The location of each hole represented a specific piece of information. It means this device has a holes that is representing the information. So the location of every hole represented specific piece of information. Either it will be male or a female. Cards are inserted into the machine and metal pins used to open and close the electrical circuits. It means in this we have to add the cards, then we need to use some metal pins to open and close the circuits. If the circuit was closed, a computation was increased by 1. It means every time when circuit closed, its computation was increased or incremented by 1. It took only 6 weeks to count 63 million population. It means its speed is so high. This is the punch card. It has holes. These are called the holes. It's called a tabulating machine. It looks like this, tabulating machine. Next we have Howard Aiken Mark I, 1900 to 1973. Aiken thought he could create a modern and functioning model of Babbage's analytical engine. First, analytical and difference engine is created or invented by the Babbage. After that, lots of modifications or improvement is done over there by the multiple inventors. He succeeded in securing a grant of $1 million for his proposed. It means that inventor get a grant of $1 million for inventing or for working on the analytical engine. This is the person, Howard, and this is the analytical engine invented or improved by this person. Analytical engine is already designed by Babbage, but this is the person who do some modifications or improvement over there. This is the person inventor and this is the engine. Next, we have a ABC. And it is designed in 1939 to 1942, and it is the first electronic digital computer that is designed by Johann Antonov and Clifford Berry. These two persons designed this first electronic digital computer. And this is the computer that use binary system having the value 0 or 1, and still this binary system is used. So this is the first electronic digital computer which is working on a binary values like 0 or 1, and still now till these days we are following the binary system. ENIAC, electronic numerical, ENIAC. Its full form is E stands for electronic, N stands for numerical, I stands for integrator, A stands for and C stands for computer. So it is an electronic numerical integrator and computer. And this works on the binary system. It means now it starts working on a 0 or 1, and it works with a very fast speed. Now it's following the binary system. It's look like this. It looks like this. This is the diagrammatic representation of this computer system. It looks like this. It can do nuclear physics calculations in a 2 hours, which is done by 100 engineers a year to do with the help of hands, but now it can do its nuclear physics calculation in 2 hours only. It means it is a very good speed. Next, we have a UNIVAC. Universal, its full form is Universal. A stands for automatic, C stands for computer 1. It was the first commercial computer. And it is designed by J. Presper, Eckert, and John Mauchly. And it looks like this. UNIV stands for Universal, A stands for automatic, C stands for computer, and it looks like this. Next, we have ADVAC, electronic. E stands for electronic, D stands for discrete, V stands for variable, E stands for automatic, and C stands for computer. Electronic, discrete, variable, automatic computer. And this is the diagram of this computer. It is the first stored program computer, and it is designed by von Neumann. And you have studied in your computer system architecture of von Neumann classifications. It has a memory to hold both a stored program as well as a data. This is the first portable computer, Osborne 1. It is first portable computer. It is released in 1981 by Osborne Computer Corporation, and it looks like this. And this is the first computer company was an electronic control company that is founded in 1942 by J. Presper, Eckert, and John Mauchly. This is the first computer company. This is the diagram of the company. Next, we have our generations of computer. The computer generation is divided into 4 types. First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and fifth generation. Now see, it means computer invention is divided into 5 generations. First generation computer. The period of first generation was 1942 to 1954. First generation electronic computer used vacuum tubes. It means the computer that is generated in a first generation in the time period of 1942 to 1954, it used vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes are glass tubes. As it is visible in the diagram, it is just like a glass tubes with circuit inside. There is a one black, or I think 2 circuits inside this vacuum tube. Vacuum tube have no air inside of them. It is completely closed. There is no single chance of air which protect the circuit. So it means vacuum tubes is what it is used in the first generation computer, and it has glass tubes. So this is the first generation computer. Always remember this, first generation computer is vacuum tube computers, and the period of first generation computer is 1942 to 1954, and it looks like this, and it's a glass tube, and it has circuit inside it. Main features of first generation vacuum tube technology is used in a first generation. Unreliable, not so reliable. It support only machine language, nothing else. It's very costly, and it will generate a lot of heat. Slow input output devices. Its size is so big, it need AC. Not portable, we cannot move it from one device to another, and it consumes a lot of electricity. It need more electricity, more power supply. And these are the computers which are invented during first generation: ENIAC, EDVAC, UNIVAC. These three computers are the computer that is invented in the first generation. It means they follow the vacuum tube technology. These are the computers that is generated in or invented in a generation 1. As we have already discussed about all these computer, ENIAC. Next is second generation computer. The period of second generation computer was 1952 to 1964, and they follow transistors. Now they never use the vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes is replaced by transistor in the second generation of computers. Its main feature, now instead of vacuum tubes, they use transistors. So it is more reliable as compared to first generation, smaller in size as compared to first generation, generate less heat as compared to first generation, take less power supply or electricity as compared to first generation, very fast as compared to first generation. It's costly and they need AC. Alternate current, they need AC also. These are the computers: IBM 1620, IBM 7094. They are invented in a second generation. This is the third generation computer. Third generation computer time period 1964 to 1972, and they follow IC chips, that is called integrated chips. These are the chips. This is chip 1, this is the second diagram of chip, and these all are the chips. And these chips have transistors, resistors, capacitors. They all are integrated into a single chip. It means this chip have transistors, resistors, and capacitors, but all are on a single chip. This is the third generation computers. It use IC, means integrated chips, more reliable, smaller in size, generate less heat, they are faster, lesser maintenance, means easy to maintain, it's expensive, they need AC, they consume less power supply, and they support a very high level languages. These are the example of computer. They follow the IC, IBM 360 series, Honeywell 6000 series, IBM 370 by 168. These are the example of computers that follow third generation. It means they have ICs. This is the diagram of IBM 360. It looks like this, IBM 360. Next, we have a fourth generation. Fourth generation computer was introduced in 1972 to 1990. They follow VLSIC, very large scale integrated circuits. It also have a transistors, resistors, capacitors. It looks like this. It follow integrated chips, but these are very large scale. Features, it never use a simple integrated chips. It follow a very large scale integrated chips. It's very cheap, portable. It use PCs, personal computer. They are smaller in a size. They use pipeline processing, no AC needed. In this, we can use the internet also. First time the concept of internet was introduced in a fourth generation. They are used in a field of network, and computer become easily available. This type of computer is very easily available. Examples are DEC10, star 1000, PDP-11. These three computers follow fourth generation, means they follow very large scale integrated chips. Next, we have last fifth generation. Started in the 1990s, till we are using a fifth generation computer. In fifth generation, very large scale integrated technology become ultra large scale integration technology. So it is also using AI, artificial intelligence is also used in a fifth generation computer, and all the high level languages like C, C++, Java, .NET are used in this generation. So this generation computer is used in robotics. We can use artificial intelligence in robotics and neural network in game playing, in designing the expert system in a natural language. It means fifth generation computer is a computer that we are still using till these days also. Its features, it's using ultra large scale integrated technology. It is used for the development of original artificial intelligence. We use in a natural language processing. It is used in a parallel processing. It is used in a superconductor technology, more user friendly, and it is very powerful and it provides the availability of very powerful and compact computer at a cheaper rate. And examples: desktop, laptops, notebook, and ultrabook. So fifth generation computer is still we are using fifth generation because it has ultra large scale integrated circuits or artificial intelligence. Thank you so much.